Hey everybody, can I have everybody's attention just for a quick second? Everybody, I don't want to interrupt your conversations for too long, but I do want to thank everybody for coming today to our showroom commerce holiday mixer. Thanks for being here. Um, so I hope you're all enjoying really good food. If you haven't, there is chicken wings and charcuterie board made by me. I'm pretty good at charcuterie board. No, I'm just kidding. I just kind of threw it out there. But no, so again, thank you all for coming. It was like about 5:10 or 5:15, and there was one person here, and I was like, oh my gosh, are people not coming? And I host enough events. I mean, I hosted a different event. I've hosted 2 other events this week, so I'm used to hosting events, but I know that the weather is pretty crazy in a lot of places. I mean, it's raining hard here, but it's pretty bad in, south and north, so we're kind of lucky in Seattle. So thank you for trekking all the way out here. Well, my name's Jonathan G. Blanco, and I'm the founder and CEO of Niftmint, and I'm also the founder and CEO of TF Labs. So they're 2 different companies, basically both run by me. But what TF Labs is, it's a brand innovation agency. So we work with brands and retailers and other companies as well, but primarily brands and retailers. And we help them with a whole host of things, everything from branding and marketing and content, all the way to product and software development. So we worked with a handful of big brands here that you know locally, and then some elsewhere. And then we spun out a company about 4 years ago called Niftmint. And that's where I spend a good amount of my time. And what Niftmint does is we're heavily focused on product authentication and loyalty and engagement. So essentially what we do is we create a digital twin of a physical item. And the whole purpose of that digital twin is for it to track it and follow it. Think of it like a digital certificate of authenticity. And it's basically to help prevent any sort of counterfeit goods against it. And also as a way to create an engagement tool between the brand and the consumer. So if you're a digital company, like you're very aware of what your daily active user is and how people interact with your, video game or watch your shows, etc. If you're a brand, you have almost zero knowledge as to how someone wears a product. So if Nike doesn't know that I'm wearing Nike shoes right now, as an example, right? Patagonia doesn't know that someone's wearing their vest, etc. So we introduce those mechanics to be able to do that. And so those are, my companies are essentially the sponsors of this. And then we have another company that came in, Conduit Network, and they're a blockchain-based infrastructure company that does some pretty interesting things on the DeepIn side as well. So what we're doing with Showroom, our whole goal and focus when it comes to Showroom is our intention is to create and grow a commerce community here in the Pacific Northwest and also in other areas. Thank you for that clap. I appreciate that. If you know me or if you've known me for a number of years, I grew a blockchain community here in Seattle. We've been doing events in the blockchain space since 2018. We've hosted really, really large conferences. We've hosted, I guess, 6 or 7 of those, and then we hosted monthly events, and we have been hosting monthly events on that side. And I go to these really great conferences in different cities, in Vegas, and New York, and Miami. And I was like, how come there's not really like a commerce group, or at least, and there are other groups, I shouldn't say that there are, but I haven't seen at the level that I want. So that's the whole purpose of Showroom, is just to do monthly events like this. We've already, this will technically be our 4th event that we've done as Showroom. We've had some pretty interesting events where we had an AI and commerce event, and we had someone from Microsoft's AI shopping group, Larry Caravangelo. I think I'm saying his last name right. And then we also had someone from T-Mobile come as well, who was doing some of their LLM type stuff. And that's on our YouTube page, by the way. So if you go to our Niftmint YouTube page, you can see that interview. Adam was at our brand innovation day. Adam's an IP attorney, and so we've had some really good conversations around brand IP. Selfishly, like that's something that I'm very interested in, because that's one of our value props, is we're trying to protect brand IP. So my ask to everybody in this room is, if you are aligned with what I'm saying and this interest in a commerce community, or if you touch commerce in any way and you want to see that grow, just help you can help. The easiest way you can help is literally just showing up and coming to events. The second way you can help is just bringing one more person the next time. A third way you can help is if you want to help put on events, or even just as simple as like helping me, clean some things up or set some chairs up. We all obviously, it's nice to have sponsors, so that way it doesn't come out of only my pocket. But I try to make everything free. So as you can see, there is no charge to come to this. Most of my events from the beginning of time have always been free, because I never want the dollars to be a reason why someone doesn't come and participate. And then last is, people that you think that are interesting enough to hear from. So if you have connections to people, at brands or retailers, or who are building really interesting things, would love also, so we can, learn and hear from them. Seattle and the Pacific Northwest in particular is home to a lot of really big brands and retailers that are known nationwide and globally. So, there's no reason, not to emphasize in that. The other thing I want to do real quick, so we don't have a panel, but I thought it'd be really fun to allow a few people here to come on stage and just share any thoughts that they might have for this coming year, like what they think might be happening or going to take place, or maybe not even what they think, but what they want to happen. I'm okay with that as well. So I'd love to invite anybody, if you'd like to, give your perspective on what you think will happen in commerce over the coming year. For me, I think I'll give my perspective. I think AI in commerce is very interesting. I think agentic commerce is very interesting. I think it's a long way away still, though, and I'm not bearish on it, but I'm not bullish on it either. And the reason why, you hear a lot of people talk about stuff like, oh, websites are dead and everybody's going to be using search for this. That's not happening anytime soon, in my opinion, for a number of reasons. One, if only for the sheer reason that a brand and retailer is going to probably dig their heels on that for a little while, because no brand wakes up in the morning and says, how do I get my audience to leave my channel and go to a third-party channel and then transact there? Every brand is in the business of attracting eyeballs to their sites and to their channels, or to their even social channels and so forth. And I think social is a little bit different, because, if you attract someone to your Instagram, you're maybe like you're going to pay some sort of margin if they, transact through that, but at least, you're maybe growing a follower or growing like some sort of audience member, and there's still like this direct tie-in, where there's no notion in AI commerce just yet, for example, of having like a brand page inside of that. And I'm sure that probably will be coming, but those are some of the reasons why I don't think that that's going to be a thing. And I don't think that's a thing in 2026. What I do think is a thing in 2026, and it's already a thing, but I think it becomes more, and I think the brands that avoid this are going to really face a problem, is shoppable social commerce. So what TikTok has been doing, for the last couple years, I think is the right way to go about it. And I worked at a company back in 2014 where we were doing social commerce. And back in 2014, we would talk to brands about why they would want to sell on social. And they're like, they didn't get that. They didn't understand it. And we even talked to the social commerce companies, the social companies, and told them about this and how, brands should interact and transact and so forth on their sites. And even a lot of them didn't understand it. There's one that has a lot of pictures on it. It's a social site that's all about pictures, and you might pin some things. And we just couldn't believe that they didn't understand it. And I respectfully, I still think they don't understand commerce and social for some reason. And they're the ones who should. I think they could rule the world with social commerce, to be honest. But for some reason, they don't get it. But yeah, I think all the brands right now that take advantage of shopping on TikTok or any sort of video selling are going to do really, really well. I consume a lot of content like that, and it's really fascinating to me to see no-name brands that kind of emerge out of nowhere, that are doing, tens of millions of dollars in revenue, just being, a couple years old or a year old as a company. if you're familiar with Kim Kardashian or Skims line, she's actually selling on TikTok right now on TikTok Shop. And I think that's probably the first really good example of, call it a well-known brand, taking advantage of that. Granted, there are other brands that big brands that of that are selling on social, but someone that has the attention that she has. So if you're a brand or a retailer, I really think you need to take advantage of social commerce and think of that as a channel, because you'll get lost if you don't. The same way that if you didn't have a social site, 10 years ago, right, it'd be crazy to say like, oh, we don't do socials right now. But 10 years ago, granted, so social started like, call it 2005, so 20 years ago. But it took even probably like till 2010 to 2015 for brands to really, not all brands of course, but to really focus on it. People had social sites, but really putting that into as a strategy. And so I think if you think of every new evolution of commerce, it's the brands that hold their feet and kind of dig their heels in that don't make it to the next phase. So when e-commerce first came out in the 90s, you had brands that were like, no, we're not going to sell online, and we're even going to double down on our stores. And those companies don't exist anymore, right? And then when you had the same with on social media or mobile, same thing. A lot of those companies either don't exist or they're in a completely different form or not as powerful as they once were. A lot of people forget that Sears, which went into bankruptcy a number of years ago, was essentially Amazon before Amazon. You used to get this catalog in the mail, the Sears catalog, and you could buy anything you wanted. You could buy a house, a literal house in the Sears catalog. There are houses in Capitol Hill that are Sears houses. So, just because you have a foothold on something doesn't mean that you can't lose that foothold by, avoiding consumer trends, technological trends, and so forth. So anyways, those are my thoughts and my predictions for this coming year. And I want to invite anybody else who has one. Or Carl, do you have a question, or do you have a comment? Or
I want to come up and talk on my case.
Then come on up.
I'm politically incorrect.
And
left-handed, so.
So because I want to give as many people as the opportunity to do this, let's try to go for like 5 minutes or less.
All right, I'll make it very quick.
And then so just if you could just introduce yourself real quick in a couple seconds, and then go straight to what you think your thoughts or predictions are for what's coming up.
Okay, well, I wanted to talk about social media, but anyway, my name is Carl Weaver. I'm a wireless market mobile device specialist for the Far East. I've been involved in bringing at least 5 or 6 cutting-edge technologies that are standard on smartphones and IoT devices. I'm also bilingual in Mandarin. I actually, very quick, I started my public speaking career in 2003 on Microsoft's website, giving the first public speaking presentation on smartphones. The global smartphone revolution was put onto YouTube, at that time not owned by Google. Then it was, I broadcasted on LinkedIn, and I got a speaking gig in London, the global smartphone revolution, China, the mobile digital dragon. That was in 2004. And I realized, hey, I've got a strategy. I'm a bilingual Mandarin-speaking American with a niche career. So I continue to use public speaking in order to promote the cutting-edge technology I've been selling. Now, I came back from Singapore in 2024, and I realized, and he knows me because he moderated 2 of my panels. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah. So in 2024, I came back and I realized all this hype with AI this, AI, and people, and I had Chinese companies on WeChat asking me about LLMs. I said, yeah, I know what LLMs are. Give me a moment. I didn't know anything, so I went on YouTube and I realized that I needed to jump up to speed with what AI was, large language models, and in late 2024, I started to do public speaking on the AI chip supply chain in Asia and Gen AI smartphone revolution. So that's what I've been doing. Now, looking into and I gave a presentation last Sunday, UW Bothell, for the IEEE. Anybody know those guys? Quite prestigious. I'm quite lucky. So fast forward, 2026. What's going to happen? My prediction is you're going to see Gen AI and the AI algorithms embedded into almost everything, because what it does is refine all the data going into the cloud. But I talk about AI at the edge, which is a little bit different. AI on this iPhone, it has AI now. AI will be into everything. That's what 2026 holds. However, and I'll be a little bit negative here, this is not the place for hardware. It never has been. It's all down in Phoenix, Arizona. And Apple is reshoring its technology, and TSMC is manufacturing those high-speed semiconductor chips now down, 2 nanometer, now down in Phoenix, Arizona. It's very, very optimistic. It's very, very great for this country. We're reshoring technology because we deindustrialized the past 30 years and sent it to Asia. It's coming back. So I jumped into AI because I realize AI is important for everybody because it will be an element in all of our lives. It absolutely will.
Thank you. So reshoring and AI chips.
Well, no, I talk about the AI chip supply chain because none of that's made here. And we do have hyperscalers in Washington State, and they're designing here, but it's all going to be manufactured either in Hsinchu, Taiwan, or down in Phoenix, Arizona, all of the chips. So Amazon, Google, Microsoft, they're all here for cloud business in the Northwest, but the data centers are actually not here. The cloud is, the data centers are actually in Data Center Alley, that's in Virginia, the East Coast and Virginia. But for cloud, we're the key. For hyperscalers, we've got Amazon and Microsoft. Those are the 2 top hyperscalers, and they're designing the chips.
All right, thank you, Carl.
You're welcome.
Anybody else want to jump in and? Good. Hey, AJ.
Good to see
Why don't
you.
you just introduce yourself real quick and tell
Sure.
us what your thoughts are for commerce.
Sure. I'm AJ Rice. I'm the founder of Zalpha Mobile. We sell dumb phones for kids. And I'm going to disagree with everything you said, Jonathan.
All right.
Not everything, but I think in today's age, I think as a lot of things are moving towards AI, we're getting more and more spam and more things being thrown at us online. And I think there's going to be some regression in terms of the importance of trust and relationships in selling, particularly for consumer brands. And I think things like conferences, in-person connection, the importance of referral programs and micro communities are going to be extra important going into 2026. Part of that is where I think the market is going, but part of that, to your point, Jonathan, is not only what I think is going to happen, but what I want to happen as the kind of anti-technology brand. Not that I'm anti-tech, but that there's some backlash against the way things are moving with regard to technology, especially for kids, is advantageous towards our brand, and to the extent we can, find strong communities where we are well recommended and where we get to know people in person, that we find we can sell much better in those situations.
Yeah. But what are you disagreeing with me on?
I don't know. Great question. You said if, like you were talking about 10 years ago, that the brands that wouldn't lean into social 10 years ago are going to get left behind, and kind of the same for the brands that don't lean into some of, social commerce, generative AI, that they might too get left behind. And I think there's an opportunity for brands that deliberately, not out of just kind of being stuck in their ways, but deliberately go the opposite direction of the way things that are moving more broadly, and to establish themselves as kind of unique brands that have unique channels for communicating with their customers.
Oh, yeah. And to clarify, I actually think I still think it's early on generative AI. I think it's works very well in a workflow kind of context, but I don't think you're left behind on a commerce context if you're not doing Gen AI inside of, or Gen AI shoppable search right now. You have plenty of time to get involved with that. But what I was more referencing is selling on social, I think, is really important for most brands.
Yeah. But I guess I mostly agree with you, but at the same time, I think there's an opportunity for brands that kind of deliberately buck the trend, to kind of lean into, whether it's brick and mortar or other kind of overlooked opportunities that people think are part of the dinosaur or outgoing past, that if you just kind of sit back and watch, obviously the market's going to move against you. But if all the brands are zigging, that can create an opportunity to zag. And I think.
Yeah, definitely creating community or, having that, call it third place aspect of things, whether that's in a virtual or digital or, physical space is important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks,
All
AJ.
right. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Come on up, Nathan.
I got a question.
Oh, yeah.
So, what's your idea on live shopping? What do you think?
Oh, that's what I was just talking about. I think you hadn't walked in just yet, but no problem. I think live shopping is really important for brands to get into and adopt. I think that's what brands should be focusing on right now. I don't think brands should be focusing on Gen AI shopping yet, because there's the adoption curve isn't there for them. That doesn't mean it won't be. I think it will be, of course, in the future. But if a brand's focusing on Gen AI shopping before they're focusing on live shopping, I think they have their priorities out of order.
So, follow up, if you don't mind, what do you see that TikTok is doing well, but it can improve? I thought that user experience.
So, not to sound like I'm part of this the CCP, but I think TikTok has done it right. TikTok is what I imagined social commerce was going to be 10 years ago. The reason why TikTok does such a good job is because they've turned social into a marketplace. What every social site that is not TikTok does is they link you out either to the brand side or to a third-party environment. And while, yes, if you are a brand, you do want to send people to your site, the second that you take someone out of their experience, the drop-off is really high, right? So the conversion ability inside of TikTok is just as simple as it is with Amazon. You can have your credit card in there, you can transact, you can convert really quickly. So if you're, consuming content, you see a product, you can convert right there and continue to consume content because you're shopping in the environment that you're currently at, right? So that's why I think they've done a good job. Whereas on Instagram, what happens is you get the ad or whatever it is, and then you get kicked out to a browser inside of Instagram. So it's a kind of a disjointed experience, and then you are then putting in your credit card each time. You're doing all these things because you're transacting in a different modal, and so you're breaking the shopping, the conversion funnel. You're breaking it right there. So yeah, I think TikTok's done a really good job of that. And then also the UGC side, so the user generating content, and basically having influencers of all shapes and sizes be able to be the people that are selling to you, and the frequency that's happening, I think is has been well. I buy things on TikTok all the time. Yeah, come on up.
Well, I'm going to agree with you some things. I'm more agreeing with you. Okay, I'm Cindy Ball. I'm a co-founder of a company called Fierce. We're building a virtual try-on experience for clothes, but we have a strong social component as well. And we are using AI also for some Gen AI and also for personalization. So I think there are 3 trends that we're really focusing on in this coming year. One is AI personalization. So if you can help your customers find the things that they really love, they want to keep, they're connected to, they match their preferences, you've already got like a super strong connection with those customers. And second, we're enabling those customers when they find, like for us, looks that they love, we're enabling them to share those looks with shareable, shoppable content out into social media. So you're talking about influencers. With our system, we're trying to make sure that every piece of try-on or every try-on activity turns into social content, and then the shoppers can put those onto social where they become an influencer. So every try-on is content, and every shopper is an influencer. So we're really trying to create this flywheel where we are totally taking advantage of social. And so instead of a brand creating social content that's buyable, purchasable, we're letting the shoppers do that, and everybody kind of wins in the game. And I think the third trend that we're really focusing on for ourselves is making shopping fun, right? Like Gen Z, if the experience isn't entertaining, they just don't want to participate. They're out. And so as we're building our try-on experience, we're trying to make sure that it's super entertaining and that it's super engaging so that people want to take their picture and get involved in the process because it's just damn fun. So those are the three things.
Nice.
Personalization, social, and fun.
Love it.
Okay,
Thanks
thanks.
for sharing.
Yep.
Does anybody else want to share their thoughts for what's coming?
Yep. Hey everyone, I'm just a tech guy working for a fan company. Just don't ask me which one. We are one of the biggest e-commerce giants, and specifically I works with ads. So one thing which I agree with you is like AI will play a very huge role in how people experience their overall day-to-day life. But other thing which I also believe is like with the increased use cases of AI, people will start losing their thought process. It would be more driven by like how you get answers, what kind of personalized content you get, rather than like what you want exactly, because we are currently being molded in those ways. So if for me personally, I feel like what ChatGPT did right now with adding like shopping to that sense, like partnering with Stripe, partnering with Walmart, those things will play a very huge role in coming future, because when I go and buy something, I know that this product is good. But then again, there is an interesting thought, like just ask ChatGPT, like what does it do? Like, is it a good buy or not? Is it like, how will it suit? And with the current inclusion of, I believe they recently added like shared chats where you can add multiple people in the same chat group. So it's kind of like a social network by itself right now. And I feel like people are very skeptical about it. But like when it comes to 2026, I feel like people will start, I would say they would be more inclined towards more natural content rather than just generic or like AI generated content, because they won't be able to relate to it. I believe there would be a tipping point sometime in the future where people will be just fed up and they'll be like, okay, now I want to go to the hard stores. I just want to feel those things just to get an idea about it. But I feel like that is quite far. People are still getting molded. One thing which I picked up from the last speaker was like they are focusing currently on Gen Z, which I feel like a lot of companies are doing that. But then again, most of the spenders are not Gen Z. They are like the millennials and the people in our age group who actually have the money, right? So that should be a key focus point, is like people, I believe, like, for example, like my brother, that they have specifically restricted my niece from accessing certain things because they don't want them to be dependent upon social a lot. So that is one thing which I would say would play a big role, is like people start restricting stuff, because right now even a 3-year can use a mobile phone better than me. So that is something which I am not very comfortable about. But then again, yeah, that's something which I would look forward to, is like how I can cater to more millennial and like people of age, and just making sure that they know what they are going into for, not something which is not very natural, something that is AI generated. So that is something which I feel like 2026 will give people an idea, hint about. It's like, okay, now we have to step back. We have to think it through whether this is something which we want to do or not. Just because an AI agent said and someone else said it, do I need to actually do it or not?
Yeah, interesting point. Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and again, we're saying 2026, right? We're not saying that 2027, 2028. I think as the future holds, yes, all that stuff that we talked about does become more commonplace, and you know, people start absorbing this, or it is very much part of the fabric. But we're talking about just like in the next couple months, you know, is this going to start to happen? Anybody else want to jump in?
I have a question for you.
Oh, sure.
You were talking, I love the idea that Nike doesn't know that you're wearing your shoes right now.
Yeah.
Right? And I'd love to know, in terms of behavior, we come from the gaming industry, right? And
Yeah.
I really believe in sort of like understanding the behavioral space, how you wore it, if you wore it, did you wear it in Fortnite to a concert, yada, yada, yada. What do you think are the connective points between digital commerce and IRL, and you know, the more interested in like, are you tagging apparel to understand the behavior of the folks that wear that apparel? Is that interesting to people? Is that invasive to people? I'm really interested in those connected points.
Yeah, so it's a great question. So just repeat for everybody. The question was essentially, what are my thoughts on, how you get people to interact with apparel, essentially, like what are the driving factors behind that? And yeah, so it's taking a little bit of gamified behavior or interaction behavior that takes place. We all have different apps that give us streaks if we log into it or we do something there, or you send an email or your workout, your fitness, etc. And so for a brand, so if you're a brand, right, the main data that you understand is conversion. So and then you're lucky if you understand that that person visited your site again, because maybe you have a cookie and now you're tracking their IP and you know that this person that did convert at one point is going to your site or they're logging into the app. Like that's ideal that you know that information, but you don't always necessarily know that information. And so again, yeah, when it comes to being in the physical world understanding if you're wearing it. So the simplest way to put it is imagine getting either a simple notification that says like, hey, wear your Louis Vuitton bag to this dinner party tonight and earn points. It's like it's its most basic function. Or wear your Rolex watch to the lobby bar of the Ritz-Carlton and get a free Manhattan because we have a partnership with said alcohol maker, or whatever marketing behavior the brand wants to introduce, giving that opportunity to do so. The way that we're able to do that is that ideally there's some sort of unique identifier inside of the physical product, whether that be a unique QR code, NFC chip, or RFID. And most products have this already, particularly if you're a luxury brand or like a sporting good, you're likely having one of these types of unique identifiers in them already. And so what we do on our side is we copy that unique ID of that chip into a digital token or an NFT, and then we pair that together. So now they have that unique ability. So now we can say, not only is this red Jordan hat being used, but it's actually being used by Nathan right now because we have the physical to the digital pairing. And so what's important on the brand side to that is not just knowing that someone's using it, but who's using it and how often they're using it. And now you have an understanding of like who really has influence, within your company or within the brand.
And what's the psychographic to luxury vis-a-vis awareness of them being tracked, right? Like
It's no different than your phone. And so, every single app on your phone could track you if you give it the permission to. So it always has to be permission data. So, RFIDs aren't at this level. So a lot of people think of RFID and they think they're actually imagining Bluetooth. So like, Bluetooth has a very long range. RFID does not have a super long range, right? Like most of the time you have to be pretty close to it. That doesn't mean that doesn't change over time, of course, but I think that's part of the incentivization reason is that you incentivize someone to share their data. And if you go from a blockchain ethos perspective, that's one of the things everybody always talked about. Is like, oh, earn points or crypto for sharing your data. It was kind of like this thing within that. But we think like this. Do you remember when Cambridge Analytica happened with Facebook? So I've said this a number of times. So if you've heard me say this, please forgive me. But I have a theory that people didn't necessarily care that their data was stolen or used. They just cared that they didn't get to participate in any of that or have a say in it. Because if you know anything about technology, that you know that all your data is being used and used against you like constantly. Like any piece of software that you're using is either using your data or selling your data. So and what was funny about Cambridge Analytica is you had people on Instagram saying, I'm never using Facebook ever again. So, so that's what I mean when I say, like, I don't know that people necessarily cared that their data was taken. It's just that they didn't get to participate. That's why I have that theory that it's, you know, if you get to participate in that, then you'd be more okay with your data being shared.
But in the luxury sector, where people are more concerned about you're either being seen or not being seen.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's
Well, and that's why it has to be permission. So it's just, you know, it's just a simple yes, no checkbox. That, you know, it's that simple.
interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to share?
When I do my
Oh.
public speaking and I capture all my content to video, I've discovered because of Gen AI and because of these deep fakes, I now put a watermark in all of my videos of my own Newport Technologies. I put a watermark because I know what machine learning distillation is. That means that all of these agents and all of these algorithms are scanning the internet and collecting all of our data, and they're not paying for it. So I believe in the future, if you can create your own video content, but have a watermark so that you can identify this is yours. This is actually, lawyers in the office, they'll understand this. If you can identify that it's your video, and if you can also say, well, this is not a deep fake, then you will have more control of your digital footprint and your video content. So that's why this year I started to put my logo on all of my video content. It really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. Anybody else want to share their thoughts for the year? No? Okay. Well, thanks everybody for coming, and thanks for this little round table that we had here. But yeah, you know, there's plenty of food left, plenty of drinks. Hang out, talk to some folks, and you know, we'll let you know about the next event. But love to see you all at the next event that we do in the new year.
Thank you.
Thanks.